Proper bonding of an in-ground swimming pool is essential for electrical safety and is mandated by the National Electrical Code, or NEC. This process creates an equipotential plane around the pool, minimizing the risk of electric shock. Here's a comprehensive guide to understanding and implementing the bonding requirements. Firstly, let's discuss the materials required for pool bonding. You'll need copper bonding ribbon, typically 8 American wire gauge or 10 American wire gauge. Ground clamps are crucial for secure connections. Rust-proof nuts and bolts are necessary to prevent corrosion. A bonding lug kit for the grounding electrode will help you establish a solid connection. Next, consider the various bonding locations. The pump and filter equipment must be bonded to the equipment panel ground lug using a bonding ribbon. A copper bonding grid should be installed around the perimeter of the pool using bonding ribbon. All metal conduit and fittings used for electrical wiring need to be bonded to the bonding grid or equipment grounding conductor. Lighting fixtures should also be bonded to the bonding grid or equipment grounding conductor. Metal ladders and rails must be bonded to the bonding grid. Any metal diving board should be connected to the bonding grid. All rebar or metal reinforcing mesh in the pool structure must be bonded to the bonding grid. Finally, extend the grounding electrode conductor, usually a copper rod or pipe, from the main electrical panel to a bonding lug on the pool equipment. Now, let's go through the bonding procedure step by step. 1. Attach the bonding grid by laying out the copper bonding ribbon around the perimeter of the pool, connecting all metal components such as conduits, fixtures, and ladders using ground clamps. 2. Bond the equipment by connecting the bonding ribbon to the equipment panel ground lug. 3. Bond the rebar by connecting the bonding ribbon to the rebar or metal reinforcing mesh using ground clamps. 4. Establish the grounding electrode by connecting the grounding electrode conductor to the bonding lug on the pool equipment, creating a continuous path to ground. 5. Thoroughly check all connections to ensure they are tight and secure, using rust-proof materials to prevent corrosion. Here are some additional tips. Use a bonding lug kit to securely connect the grounding electrode conductor to the pool equipment. Solder all connections to ensure a reliable bond. Keep the bonding grid and grounding electrode system away from the pool water. Inspect the bonding system regularly and repair any damage or loose connections. Remember, the purpose of pool bonding is to create an equipotential plane. This means that all metallic parts within and around the pool are at the same electrical potential. This minimizes the risk of electric shock if a fault occurs. The bonding grid consists of a network of conductive wires, typically solid copper, that are connected to all metallic parts of the pool structure and equipment. This includes the pool's reinforcing steel, metal light fixtures, metal ladders and handrails, metal pump housings, metal filter housings, and any other metal components within a certain distance of the pool. The size of the bonding wire is typically 8 American wire gauge or 10 American wire gauge, as specified by the NEC. The bonding wire must be continuous and unbroken, and all connections must be made with listed and labeled connectors suitable for direct burial. The NEC provides specific requirements for the size and type of bonding conductors, as well as the methods for making connections. Section 680 of the NEC covers swimming pools, spas, and hot tubs, and it outlines the specific bonding requirements for these installations. It is essential to consult the latest edition of the NEC and follow all applicable requirements to ensure a safe and code-compliant installation. The grounding electrode system is an integral part of the pool bonding system. The grounding electrode provides a connection to the earth, which helps to stabilize the electrical potential of the pool and surrounding area. The grounding electrode can be a ground rod, a ground plate, or the metal underground water pipe. The grounding electrode conductor connects the grounding electrode to the pool's bonding grid and the electrical panel. The size of the grounding electrode conductor is determined by the size of the service entrance conductors, as specified in the NEC. All metal parts of the pool structure and equipment must be bonded together to form a continuous electrical path. This includes the pool's reinforcing steel, metal light fixtures, metal ladders and handrails, metal pump housings, metal filter housings, and any other metal components within a certain distance of the pool. The bonding connections must be made with listed and labeled connectors suitable for direct burial. The connections must be mechanically strong and electrically conductive. The NEC specifies the methods for making bonding connections, including the use of bonding lugs, bonding clamps, and exothermic welding. The bonding grid must extend at least 3 feet horizontally from the inside walls of the pool. This ensures that the equipotential plane extends far enough to protect people entering and exiting the pool. The bonding grid must be buried at least 4 inches below the ground surface. This protects the bonding wires from damage and corrosion. The NEC allows for alternative bonding methods such as the use of a perimeter bonding conductor. A perimeter bonding conductor is a continuous loop of bare copper wire that is buried around the perimeter of the pool. The perimeter bonding conductor must be at least 8 American wire gauge in size and must be buried at least 18 inches below the ground surface. All metal parts of the pool structure and equipment must be connected to the perimeter bonding conductor. When bonding metal conduit and fittings, it is essential to use the correct type of bonding connectors. The connectors must be listed and labeled for the specific type of conduit and fitting being used. The connectors must be mechanically strong and electrically conductive. The NEC specifies the methods for bonding metal conduit and fittings, including the use of bonding bushings, bonding lock nuts, and grounding wedges. When bonding lighting fixtures, it is important to ensure that the fixtures are properly grounded. The grounding conductor must be connected to the fixture's grounding terminal and to the bonding grid. The grounding conductor must be sized according to the NEC requirements. When bonding ladders and rails, it is important to ensure that the connections are mechanically strong and electrically conductive. The connections must be made with listed and labeled connectors suitable for direct burial. The NEC specifies the methods for bonding ladders and rails, including the use of bonding lugs, bonding clamps, and exothermic welding. When bonding diving boards, it is important to ensure that the diving board is properly supported and grounded. The grounding conductor must be connected to the diving board's metal frame and to the bonding grid. The grounding conductor must be sized according to the NEC requirements. When bonding rebar or metal reinforcing mesh, it is important to ensure that the connections are mechanically strong and electrically conductive. The connections must be made with listed and labeled connectors suitable for direct burial. The NEC specifies the methods for bonding rebar and metal reinforcing mesh, including the use of bonding clamps, exothermic welding, and concrete encased electrodes. The grounding electrode conductor must be connected to the pool equipment using a bonding lug. The bonding lug must be listed and labeled for the specific type of equipment being used. The bonding lug must be mechanically strong and electrically conductive. The NEC specifies the methods for connecting the grounding electrode conductor to the pool equipment, including the use of bonding lugs, bonding clamps, and exothermic welding. All connections must be checked to ensure that they are tight and secure. Loose connections can create a high resistance path, which can reduce the effectiveness of the bonding system. All connections must be made with rust-proof materials to prevent corrosion. Corrosion can weaken the connections and reduce the effectiveness of the bonding system. The bonding grid and grounding electrode system should be kept away from the pool water. This helps to prevent corrosion and reduces the risk of electric shock. The bonding system should be inspected regularly for damage or loose connections. Any damage or loose connections should be repaired immediately. Proper pool bonding is essential for electrical safety. By following the NEC requirements and best practices, you can ensure that your pool is safe for swimming. Always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that your pool bonding system is properly installed and maintained. Furthermore, let's delve deeper into specific aspects of pool bonding, addressing common questions and clarifying potential points of confusion. Firstly, what is the purpose of an equipotential plane? An equipotential plane, in the context of pool bonding, means that all metallic parts within and around the pool are at the same electrical potential. This is crucial because it minimizes the voltage difference between these parts. If a fault occurs, such as a live wire coming into contact with a metal ladder, a person touching the ladder and another metal object would not experience a dangerous voltage difference, thus reducing the risk of electric shock. Secondly, how does the bonding grid work? The bonding grid is a network of conductive wires, typically solid copper, that connects all metallic parts of the pool structure and equipment. This network ensures that any electrical fault current is distributed evenly across all these parts, bringing them to the same electrical potential. The grid is connected to the grounding electrode system, which provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, tripping the circuit breaker and de-energizing the circuit. Thirdly, what are the specific requirements for bonding rebar? When bonding rebar or metal reinforcing mesh in the pool structure, the NEC requires that all rebar within the pool shell be bonded together. This can be achieved by using bonding clamps or exothermic welding to connect the rebar to the bonding grid. The connections must be made at multiple points throughout the rebar network to ensure a continuous electrical path. Fourthly, what type of connectors should be used for bonding? The NEC requires that all bonding connectors be listed and labeled for direct burial. This means that the connectors must be specifically designed for underground use and must be resistant to corrosion. Common types of connectors include bonding lugs, bonding clamps, and exothermic welds. The choice of connector depends on the specific application and the type of materials being connected. Fifthly, how often should the bonding system be inspected? The pool bonding system should be inspected regularly, preferably at least once a year. The inspection should include a visual check of all connections to ensure that they are tight and secure. Any signs of corrosion or damage should be addressed immediately. It is also recommended to have the bonding system tested by a qualified electrician to ensure that it is functioning properly. Sixthly, what are the consequences of improper bonding? Improper bonding can create a serious electrical hazard. If the bonding system is not properly installed or maintained, a person swimming in the pool could be exposed to dangerous voltage differences, which could result in electric shock or even death. It is essential to take pool bonding seriously and to follow all applicable requirements to ensure safe installation. Seventhly, how does the grounding electrode system work in conjunction with the bonding grid? The grounding electrode system provides a connection to the earth, which helps to stabilize the electrical potential of the pool and surrounding area. The grounding electrode is connected to the bonding grid and the electrical panel, providing a path for fault current to flow back to the source. This ensures that the circuit breaker will trip quickly in the event of a fault, de-energizing the circuit and reducing the risk of electric shock. Eighthly, what are some common mistakes to avoid when bonding a pool? Common mistakes include using incorrect connectors, failing to bond all metallic parts, not properly burying the bonding grid, and neglecting to inspect the system regularly. It is essential to pay attention to detail and to follow all applicable requirements to avoid these mistakes. Ninthly, can I bond my pool myself, or do I need to hire a professional? While it is possible to bond a pool yourself, it is highly recommended to hire a qualified electrician. Pool bonding is a complex and critical task that requires specialized knowledge and skills. A qualified electrician will be familiar with the NEC requirements and will be able to ensure that the bonding system is properly installed and maintained. Tenthly, what are the code requirements regarding underwater lighting? Underwater lighting presents unique electrical safety challenges. The NEC has specific requirements for the installation and bonding of underwater lighting fixtures. These requirements include the use of listed and labeled fixtures, proper grounding and bonding, and the installation of ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection. It is essential to follow these requirements to prevent electric shock hazards. 11thly, what about perimeter surfaces around the pool? The NEC requires that all conductive surfaces within arm's reach of the pool's edge be bonded. This includes concrete surfaces with metallic reinforcement, metal fences, and metal enclosures for electrical equipment. This requirement helps to ensure that the equipotential plane extends far enough to protect people entering and exiting the pool. 12thly, what if the pool has a vinyl liner? Even if the pool has a vinyl liner, it is still necessary to bond all metallic parts of the pool structure and equipment. The vinyl liner does not provide electrical insulation, and it is still possible for a person to come into contact with a live wire through the water. 13thly, how do I bond metal components that are not directly connected to the pool structure? Any metal components that are within a certain distance of the pool, such as metal fences or metal enclosures for electrical equipment, must be bonded to the bonding grid. The distance requirement is typically 5 feet horizontally and 12 feet vertically from the inside edge of the pool. 14thly, what are the requirements for bonding a pool that is located near a body of water? If the pool is located near a body of water, such as a lake or river, it is essential to take extra precautions to ensure that the bonding system is properly installed and maintained. The NEC may require additional bonding electrodes or other measures to address the increased risk of electrical shock. 15thly, what are the differences in bonding requirements for above-ground pools versus in-ground pools? While the basic principles of pool bonding are the same for both above-ground and in-ground pools, there are some differences in the specific requirements. For example, above-ground pools may not require a bonding grid around the perimeter of the pool, but they must still have all metallic parts bonded together. 16thly, how do I bond a metal slide or other recreational equipment near the pool? Any metal slide or other recreational equipment that is located near the pool must be bonded to the bonding grid. The bonding connection should be made at the base of the equipment and should be mechanically strong and electrically conductive. 17thly, what are the requirements for electrical inspections of pools? Many jurisdictions require electrical inspections of pools to ensure that the bonding system is properly installed and maintained. The inspection may include a visual check of all connections, a test of the grounding electrode system, and a measurement of the voltage potential between different metallic parts. 18thly, what is the role of a ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, in pool safety? Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are designed to protect people from electric shock by quickly interrupting the circuit when a ground fault is detected. GFCIs are required for all electrical outlets and equipment within a certain distance of the pool. 19thly, what are the requirements for signage related to pool electrical safety? The NEC requires that certain signage be posted near the pool to warn people of potential electrical hazards. The signage should include information about the location of the electrical disconnect switch and the importance of avoiding contact with electrical equipment while in the pool. 20thly, what resources are available for learning more about pool bonding and electrical safety? There are many resources available for learning more about pool bonding and electrical safety, including the NEC industry publications and online training courses. It is essential to stay informed about the latest requirements and best practices to ensure a safe and code-compliant installation. By addressing these common questions and clarifying potential points of confusion, it is possible to gain a deeper understanding of pool bonding and its importance in ensuring electrical safety. Remember, always consult with a qualified electrician to ensure that your pool bonding system is properly installed and maintained.